To come on in, and then we will get right started on today's WWE Raw post show. All right, everyone. Hello and welcome to my second ever YouTube live video. I actually have both of my wiener dogs down here ready to join me on a moment's notice. First and foremost, I want to say thank you so much for joining me on my YouTube channel, All Things Taylor. I am your host, Taylor Hendricks, and this is your WWE Raw post-show highlights. Super exciting. So we had a very interesting show today. Some stuff that was expected and some stuff that was definitely not expected. Which I think kind of settles with the complaint of, oh, everything is so predictable. Well, tonight there were several matches that were definitely not predicted beforehand. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to my YouTube channel, All Things Taylor. I see several of you popping up on here. Thank you so much for joining me. We have some really cool stuff to get right down to today. I have both of my wiener dogs joining me right over here. We got Sally Sausage and Slinky the Weenie. We are working all day long. I'm going to move my tripod here to get a better, there we go. All right, so a lot of people on the Twitter wrestling community are always like, oh, WWE, oh, it's so predictable. Right, well, today, I think the WWE did a pretty darn good job of keeping everyone on their toes. There were several matches where you're like, huh, didn't expect that. So we're going to break all of that down into some highlights. I know you guys have already been watching and listening to so much wrestling today. It just seems like everything is so long. And I remember when we were younger, we're like, oh, we want more. We want more. Wouldn't it be so cool if the show was longer? And now as adults and it's longer and it's like, oh man, I'm kind of tired actually. All right, guys. So we found out today that Brock Lesnar has officially decided to join, and he announced that he is basically going for the Universal Championship against Roman Reigns. This makes a lot of sense, especially considering all of the drama that went down from the Royal Rumble. And this is one of the reasons why this episode of Monday Night Raw was actually really good, is because a lot of these matches actually had purpose, which is so nice, because there's a lot of wrestling shows where it's like, well, I would love a reason to care about this match, or I feel like I've already seen this match. Why should I care more about this one than I did the previous X amount of other times I saw this match? So I think that was one thing that was actually really, really cool. I see some of you saying that you actually really loved the opening of the show. I actually did too. I actually really enjoyed this episode. So I think we're all on the same page with that. And I think I'm getting better with this YouTube live thing where I'm able to quickly read some of your comments and then they disappear again, but I'm getting better at it. So we're going to have some fun. I really enjoyed the segment with Brock Lesnar. I think WrestleMania 38 is going to be shaping up very nicely. We had some really, really cool stuff today. I was so excited that there were qualifying matches today, qualifiers for, the WWE Elimination Chamber coming up for the pay-per-view on February 20th. This is really, really cool. It gives you guys something to look forward to, but not taking away from the excitement of the Royal Rumble. I think that's part of the problem when it comes to having so many pay-per-views now compared to when we were kids. There was like 4 to 6 major ones and then that was it. Now it's like every single month, every single month, every single month. So that kind of makes it a little bit hard to build up storylines. You know what I'm saying? You want more purpose, you want more drama involved with it, more reasoning behind it. So yes, let's go Tay, absolutely. Yeah, Taylor Hendricks. So this is actually really, really cool because it seems like WWE is really putting a lot more time into making you want to care about these matches. So that is definitely a theme that I saw going on today's episode of Monday Night Raw. Moving right along on the show, we had Brock Lesnar being announced that he is in the Elimination Chamber, obviously, for the WWE title. Now, this also makes sense, not just him going after Roman Reigns, but also going after his WWE title and the almighty Bobby Lashley, who took that away from him at the Royal Rumble. This makes sense. It's very good storytelling. It's continuity. If a couple people, in your opinion, screwed you over, I'm sure you weren't just going to sit on your couch and go, whoa, just another day at the office. No, of course, you want retribution. You want what they took from you. This makes a lot of sense. It's very relatable. Seth Rollins tonight was just on a completely new level. If you guys were following me while I was tweeting the show live, even though it was kind of pausing for me, He definitely had like the Greatest Showman vibes. I thought it was awesome. We are definitely. I see you guys asking me about the Becky Lynch and Lita challenge. I will definitely get to that later on. We're gonna try to go through it in order as much as possible so we can stay organized. I have so many notes here written in several colors, so my eyes are like trying to navigate these pages of Taylor Hendricks writing over here. I really enjoyed the Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens segments. I was in a locker room with them at Ring of Honor when I was first getting into Ring of Honor back in the day. Great guys, great talents. They love wrestling. So I was actually really excited to see them have prominent roles on Raw. That's like super enjoyable to me because, you know, they were really good to me when I was like a really, really young, you know, girl in wrestling. So that's really nice to see them, you know, get their due basically. Let me see here. Somebody else saying that they love Seth Rollins. I mean, in this role, I feel like he's just perfect for this particular role. Like he's navigating both sides of it. You know, you get the baby face that you want to cheer for, and you also get the heel that you kind of can't stand. So it's kind of like that happy, hearty, smug sort of sense of humor. I'm definitely digging it. You know, during the Royal Rumble, I was like, oh, do I want him to stay heel because he's a person that you can like to hate, or do I want him to be a baby face? But either way, I'm actually really, really happy with it. I think it's really, really good, and it just shows how much of a talent he actually is when you have somebody that versatile. The man bun is a it certainly is. Whoever just said that is hilarious. I am totally with you. All right. The Miz versus Dominic Mysterio was one of those examples where I was like, okay, guys, well, you kept complaining about everything being so predictable. Wow. I bet none of y'all predicted that match to happen on Monday Night Raw. I was like, what? But I will say, and I did say this on my Twitter, I actually like felt shades of Eddie Guerrero, which was really, really cool because, you know, him and Rey came in together. They were really responsible for really upping the cruiserweight division and high flying and just all around entertainment and storylines during that genre. And he totally, yes, Santana Fuller, he totally did pull an Eddie Guerrero. It was awesome. So one of my first ever live events, guys, I got to see Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle. And it was amazing. Like baby Taylor Hendricks was so elated and so excited. It was crazy. So I have so much respect for both of those men. Eddie Guerrero is a huge inspiration for me in wrestling. And I absolutely love his wife and his daughters. So that's neither here nor there. But what I really loved about this was it was such old school shades of Eddie Guerrero that it was awesome. If you missed that, please go back and try to watch that. When he pretends to get tripped by Rey Mysterio, that was such an Eddie Guerrero move. You had to love that. Like, he lies, he cheats, he steals. It was so good. It was like when he like would hit someone with the chair and then toss his opponent the chair, and the opponent's like, oh crap, I've been had, and they were had, you know, and like the Miz said he quote tweeted WWE, and he was like, yeah, work smarter, not harder. I absolutely agree. So that overall was actually a really cool match. And overall, I think that did good business and also broke everything up on the card, which we talked about during our post-show show on here for the Royal Rumble. All right, guys, next we're going to have Rhea Ripley versus Nikki Ash. I was definitely excited to see this, especially after them breaking up. I hate when they form a tag team out of nowhere that looks weird, and then fans end up getting behind it, and then they have small short-term success, and then all of a sudden they break up after losing a title, and then they never do anything with it again. For me, I hate that. It's like, well, there has to be a reason. You know, friends fall in and out with each other all the time, and they usually end up being friends again. It's, you know, it's just the way that it goes. Well, a lot of times there's not a lot of explanation, so I really enjoy when there is more explanation. So this was actually really, really cool. It played off of the Royal Rumble, which is what this episode is supposed to. It's the fallout from the Royal Rumble. So having Rhea Ripley versus Nikki Ash after all the tension and the screwing over and everything that's been going on between them, it was really, really cool to see Rhea Ripley get a clean win over Nikki Ash. Really, really awesome. I really enjoyed that. And the fact that we had 2 clean wins for women on the card was actually really, really cool. We also had Kevin Owens versus Austin Theory. You guys thought that reminded you of me. Thank you so much. I love feeling like when I'm wrestling and I feel like I look like a villain who popped out of a comic book into live action. I love that. I love that for me. Am I allowed to say that? I love that for me. So awesome. But seriously, Kevin Owens can go. And I just love that he's always himself. He makes no apologies for who he is. He's like, this is me. You like it or you don't. either way, I'm making money and here it is. Like, I just love that energy. It's such boss energy. And when you look at him, you automatically think of all these very limiting belief stereotypes. And then he like smashes you in the face as he crushes and shows you why those limiting beliefs and stereotypes are wrong. Because when you look at him, you don't think that he can do the stuff that he can actually excel at. And he did that in this match and it was awesome. That cannonball was amazing. That moonsault was beautiful. That was a thing of beauty. I was going to tweet that and then something else came up and then I got distracted. Overall, that was an excellent match. Super good to have on Monday Night Raw. And, you know, everybody was like, oh, well, you had to know Kevin Owens wasn't going to win. I actually forgot that. So for a minute there, I really did think he was going to win. But either way, I thought that was a really good win for Austin Theory because with his character and the whole stuff he has going on with Vince McMahon, this is some good bragging rights for his character that makes his claims and his character seem more legitimate in the eyes of the WWE universe. See, there's all these little nuances that I think that fans of the WWE universe sometimes miss because they only shed a tiny bit of light when you need like a freaking magnifying glass. And so that's why I like bringing you guys the news from somebody that knows me. Here we go. So we have Austin Theory now also entering in the WWE title elimination chamber. He is joining, I almost said Bobby Fish, which would have been a bad mess up. Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Austin Theory so far on the show. Then we had Angelo Dawkins versus Dolph Ziggler. Now, according to Fightful.com, they said this was interesting because earlier in the internally, it was scheduled for his partner to actually be in that match. So I think somebody must have smartened somebody up in the back and was like, hey, Dawkins is from Cincinnati. Maybe we should put him in instead. And I think that that actually worked very well because, you know, there's a lot of rift going back and forth on the internet wrestling community where they're like, oh, hometown, rah, 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 can't lose in the hometown. But this is actually good. It was well done. Hello, everyone joining us. And I really enjoyed it. I was like, you know what, Angelo, I like this for you. Like, go you. I thought it was really, really good. So Angelo versus Dolph Ziggler. Angelo wins in his hometown. Everybody goes home happy. Shout out to Cincinnati. I've spent a lot of time there for wrestling. All right, then we had like a scooter race with Alpha Academy versus like RK Pro. So you had Chad Gable, and he is a comedic genius. Like his timing is so on point. It was reminding me of like Billy Kay before the Inspiration, or I should say the Iconics, got released. His comedic timing is so on point, guys, and I cannot tell you how hard that is because you're having to read thousands of people live on TV and the fact that it is streaming to millions of homes all over the world. So that's a lot of pressure to be funny. And not everybody can be funny. Like you can have the best comedic writers in the world and sometimes you will still not be funny. Like it just does not translate. He is funny and he is a very good wrestler and athlete. So I really, really enjoyed this. And this, of course, led to the match. Adam Pearce. I love Adam Pearce, guys. He gave me my first ever opportunity with Ring of Honor back when he was the booker and I had a couple dark matches. So I always had tons of respect for Adam Pearce because he gave like a young Taylor Hendricks who didn't know her hand from her elbow and was super green, just trying to pay her dues and go to as many seminars to learn as possible. He gave me a chance. So that to me was amazing. I automatically had so much respect and I always like to put respect on other people that have shown me respect. So I always loved Adam Pearce. He decides to make Matt Riddle versus Otis a qualifying match for the WWE title elimination chamber. Now, so many people were like, oh, this is going to be so predictable. It's going to be Otis. They want to do the big guy smashing through the thing, blah, blah, blah. I can't tell you how many times I saw that pop up on wrestling Twitter. Like, you guys, just enjoy the show. Just be positive or just watch something that you like. It's all good. Well, anyway, they were wrong. Matt Riddle gets the big W to advance him to the next WWE pay-per-view, WWE Elimination Chamber. He now joins Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley, Seth Rollins, and Austin Theory. And now Matt Riddle. Alrighty, then we move down on the card for the show today, and we had Bianca Belair versus Carmela. And I love both of these women. I actually think Carmela does not get as much respect as she deserves, and I think it's because she is that pretty. I think a lot of times people love to hate on people that are pretty, and she is so pretty, but she's also paid so much dues, guys. Like, she's not just there because she's pretty. Like, she actually can wrestle. Like she legit can wrestle. So I just want more people to like stop hating on people just because they're pretty. Like who cares? They're pretty. Great. Good for them. Good for them. Spread positivity. And Bianca Belair, I am loving the spot that she's in right now. She is the greatest. Yes. I don't know. I just, for me, I love seeing wrestling and I love people like putting over like women's wrestling and I love people just putting over good people in wrestling, whether male or female. That's kind of my thing. I love that. I want to focus on more of the good parts of wrestling. And Bianca Belair and Carmela are two shining stars in the WWE women's divisions, in my opinion, because they're both very great to look at, but they can also both go. And I liked seeing them grow into their own fullest potentials as WWE superstars. Like to me, that's exciting. Like when they win, we all win. Like when they succeed, we all succeed. That's my point of view, my personality. Like I always say, success is not a pie. So more success for them does not mean less success for me. It's actually the opposite. When they succeed, that opens more doors for other people to succeed, both men and women. In the end, it was a nice, clean finish for Bianca Belair. Gets the one up on Carmela for the 1-2-3, the EST of the WWE. Bianca Belair is advancing. So many people, were very unhappy with what happened to Bianca Belair at SummerSlam with Becky Lynch when Becky Lynch won the SmackDown Women's Championship title. I almost said Raw, but I fixed it. See, to me, that loss was okay because it was building back up Bianca Belair. Like she needed somewhere to go, and this gives her that ability to be the up and coming underdog babyface that I think also Big E could be with the way they're writing this. Like how she lost her title and he lost his, I think, at day one. I think there's such great storytelling ability there to build Bianca Belair and Big E back up. I said this for my Royal Rumble review. Imagine that passion that they would have. Like I had it. I don't know what happened and I lost it, but you know what? I'm going to learn from that experience. I am never going to let you get that one up on me again. And when I get up to that view, it is going to be so good and there's not going to be a look of you in sight. Like something like that. It will be so passionate, so good, and it's believable. Because I think we've all lost at something that felt like it took a bit of our soul with it. It like crushed us somehow. And so when we have to try to build ourselves back up from that experience, I think that that's something that a lot of people in the WWE universe can relate to. And I think storylines that people can somehow pretend to see themselves in and or relate to make a lot more money and it's more exciting to watch on TV and it makes you want to spend your money more for the stars that you love. Either way, Bianca Belair up and she is heading really good on the road to WrestleMania. Alexa Bliss segments on Raw, I am loving them. There are so many little subtle nuances that are like magic. Whoever is writing these is a genius. It almost reminds me of like Paul Heyman when he did several of those vignettes for Liv Morgan before they stopped back when they ended up putting her in that storyline with Lana, and I think Bobby Lashley. It had like the Alexa Bliss segments have shades of that, and I think that there needs to be more of that kind of content. I think that it's so good and it's relatable and it's just really creative. I think it's really, really awesome. I'm really enjoying these segments. I think that there's like different depths that they're getting to that is so good. It's like almost like little mini movies, which is the whole point of vignettes. And I think they need to start doing more of those. Originally, WWE was full of those, hyping debuts, hyping matches. I'm glad they have like those motion graphics back. But yeah, I am loving this. And then we had AJ Styles versus Rey Mysterio, the match that I didn't know I needed, but boy, was I glad. You just knew that was, pun intended, it was going to be phenomenal. And it was awesome. Yes, Alexa Bliss versus Taylor, that would be awesome. I love it. I love getting to play those dark characters. It's very much Betty Davis, who's a huge inspiration for me. Like anytime I can be ugly and be creepy and like psychotic and stuff like that, I love it. I love being able to tell a story. But seriously, in my opinion, AJ Styles versus Rey Mysterio was like match of the night, guys. What do you expect? It's Rey Mysterio and AJ Styles. Amazing. Samantha Irvin and I used to literally have notebooks where we would write about Rey Mysterio in our notebooks and write about what we saw in the matches and things like that when we were kids. And then we would hand each other's notebooks off back and forth and see what each other thought of Raw and SmackDown. And we had this war going. Each of us liked one brand over the other. It was very fun. Rey Mysterio was always a huge, huge part of that. I love it. But I stand by what I said in the Royal Rumble post show review. I miss his old entrance. Who's that jumping out the sky? Rey Mysterio. All right, announced for the February 7th episode of Monday Night Raw is Alpha Academy versus RK Bro, and they're going to do a quiz bowl. Let me see here. So at this point in the show, you already have for the WWE title Elimination Chamber, where the WWE title will be on the line. You have champion Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar versus Matt Riddle versus Seth Rollins versus Austin Theory versus AJ Styles. This is going to be epic. Like, that is a stacked Elimination Chamber, and I am all about it. I'm all about it. I'm just going to say that. Then we had the finally, the return of Ronda Rousey. I am all for this, guys. A lot of people in WWE Universe were hating on her for a lot of stuff that she was saying on Twitter and Instagram and stuff from when she left till now. But I have to tell you, she wasn't necessarily lying. There's a lot of truth in a lot of the stuff she was saying. So I'm actually super glad that she is back, guys. I am so hyped for this. Like, I am all for this. She does not look like she lost a beat. She did not miss a beat. Michelle McCool did not miss a beat. To me, that is so inspiring. Like, so many women killed it over the week. Ronda Rousey says she is going to make her decision on whose title she wants to go for, whether it's Charlotte Flair in the SmackDown Women's title or big time Becky Lynch in the Raw Women's Championship title. We'll have that decision this Friday. And then that also brought out Lita, my childhood. Love it. Love it. And yes, I also loved the pop Mickey got at the Royal Rumble. I'm trying to see as many comments. Man, I'm loving wrestling right now. It's been amazing. One of you likes Rhea Ripley more than Ronda Rousey. That's okay. Rhea Ripley worked really hard to get to where she is. I respect that. But so did Ronda. So let's put respect on that too. You know, Ronda, even if you don't like her persona for wrestling, she brings a lot of outside eyeballs to the WWE product, which only benefits everyone, including the WWE universe, because the more eyeballs means the more sponsorships means the more money coming in. More money coming in means more revenue from the TV deal itself. More revenue from the TV deal means more expenses are paid, which means more wrestlers can get opportunities and so forth and so on. It's all interconnected. But I respect that. I respect your opinion for sure. So we officially have Lita versus Becky Lynch at WWE Elimination Chamber on February 20th. That is going to be fire, straight fire. I am so excited. I like, a little part of me is like so jelly. Like, I'm like a bit jealous, but at the same time, I'm like, this is going to be so good. I've never really gotten to interact with Lita in person, but I've actually been a very big supporter of Becky Lynch for a very, very long time, dating back to before she was even signed and she was, you know, Rebecca Knox on the Independents. I remember buying a Shimmer DVD and I saw her. I remember all this stuff. So I've been in her DMs for a very long time. Either way, I love and respect both of these women. I think that this is going to be an epic match. I'm already hyped for Elimination Chamber, and that's not normally one of my favorite pay-per-views, to be honest with you. So this is actually pretty telling. I'm actually very, very excited for this. Overall, it was a very interesting episode of Raw. Thank you for the compliments, guys. You guys are so sweet. I love it. I love it. Taylor Army is so savage. Overall, I gave this episode of Raw a solid B. You know, there was some stuff where I was like, oh, okay, well, we could have done without this. But then there was some stuff that was really funny, some stuff that was very charismatic. You had a pretty good breakup of all the action. Yes, Lita can definitely still go. Hello, all the people that just signed on. Honestly, this was actually a pretty darn good episode of Raw. I know there was a lot of people hating, but that's what I always expect from the internet wrestling community. I think what everybody has to remember is WWE's audience is not necessarily independent wrestling audience. There's a big difference. William Regal had a really good breakdown for that when I was an extra and he was like talking to us. He was actually very, very smart with this kind of stuff. So, you know, don't necessarily pay attention to demos and ratings and all this other stuff. You kind of have to understand that the AEW audience is not necessarily the same audience as the WWE audience. The Impact Wrestling audience isn't necessarily the same audience as the WWE audience. Yes, there's crossover, but the general, like, major chunk of the audiences is different. The demos are different. So overall, I'm really excited about this. Lita can definitely still go. I think Becky Lynch is doing some of the best work of her career. I'm excited about this. I'm excited for the return of Becky Lynch. I am so hyped for AJ Styles being in the Elimination Chamber. I'm actually a big fan of both Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar, so I'm really excited to see them in storylines with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. I think there's some really cool magic going on here. And I think Austin Theory getting into this match is really going to start legitimizing him to the general populace of the WWE universe. They're starting to give the WWE universe a reason to actually be paying attention to Austin Theory and giving more legitimacy to his character, which is also very exciting. They're also trusting him to, not drop the ball for this pay-per-view and stuff. So that's a lot of responsibility, which shows that he's definitely growing into high esteem for people in the back and stuff, which is really, really cool. Let me know what your thoughts were about tonight's episode of WWE Raw, and also what you thought of tonight's YouTube live video. I want to say thank you so much to everybody that joined me. I know it's fluctuating and you guys have had such a long night watching wrestling, so thank you so much. And I will let you guys know if I decide to keep doing these. Let me know if you would enjoy that. I have so much stuff that I can talk to you guys about with all of this stuff, but overall it's looking real good. Thank you guys so much for joining me on All Things Taylor. I am your host, Taylor Hendricks, and this was my first ever WWE Monday Night Raw post-show highlight show. Talk soon.